All right, everyone. I'm going to give this just a second to make sure the live stream is going to hold because for some reason when I do a really important live stream, it always just cuts out after the first 30 seconds. Um, for everybody that's out there keeping Day of Atonement and honoring the Most High, I hope He gives you a ton of shalom today and peace. For everybody that's going to be watching this later down the road, I hope this is an educational presentation to you today. I hope this is an enlightening and eye-opening presentation because the things I'm going to cover today, you are not going to hear this in the church house. If you are, it's probably going to be a watered-down version in the Seventh-day Adventist church. But aside from that, you're probably not going to hear this in the church house alone. Furthermore, I would say even in the awakening, and many of the people that are in the awakening, and I would call the way, haven't even really heard a lot about this. It's so imperative because we are living in the last days. I'm going to present to you a case today from the book of Daniel, chapter 7, from the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 12, and from Revelation, chapter 17, proof positive of these things because I have three separate witnesses throughout the course of the history of humanity that has been told by the Most High these things were coming to pass. Anybody that's watching, a shalom to everybody coming in the building. Please, you rarely ever hear me on this channel ask for anybody to subscribe. If you want to come in, subscribe, fine. If you don't, fine. But I'm asking today, if you want to subscribe, please do so because I'm going to really start hammering this stuff in the future, guys. Please share this video. Hit the like button. The likes don't cost a dime on here, guys. Just hit the like button. It helps get the word out. Shalom. Good morning to everybody coming in the building. Hope everybody's having a good Day of Atonement, guys. I really try to make this my most favorite holiday of the scriptural holidays. To me, it's a day you don't eat, you don't drink nothing. Honestly, if I hadn't lost my sackcloth that I had, I'm going to get another one made. But I would actually sit here right now in sackcloth and ashes, and I may do that next year because I've done that prior year. And to me, I feel like it's an important day to humble yourself as much as possible before the Most High so that He'll hear your prayers. So anyway, with that said, like I said, to everybody that's keeping the feast day that's watching this, may the Most High give you a lot of shalom. Ladies and gentlemen, just one more note, if you want to mark this down on some notepad, because we're going to go through a lot of information today, and I'm going to get into people's comments later and stuff, but I really want to hammer this out first, is that if you want to write this down on notepad, it's Daniel chapter 7, 2nd Esdras chapter 12, Revelation chapter 17. And I'm going to go straight into that. I'm going to read one of them. I'm going to break it down. Then I'm going to go into the next one. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to go into the last one and break it down. And you will see that they continue to build up on each other and show you that right now, as I speak, we are sitting at the threshold of the end of all things. And I can show it to you just through this one presentation alone. All right, so with that said, let us begin. And just bear with me because, guys, like I said, I haven't drank water. Usually I've got water on the show here, but because of the Day of Atonement, I'm fasting today. So I may sound a little rasp and a little dry. I apologize for that, but today I think it's an important time that we should offer up our worship to the Most High, and I can't think of a better way than offer an offering of fire, that is, than the fire of the truth. So here we go. Daniel chapter 7, and it reads, in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babel, Daniel had a dream and visions on his head upon his bed. And by the way, guys, I'm reading this from the Et Sefer. If you want to read from the KJV or the Hallelujah Scriptures, it should read pretty closely. But if you don't have an Apocrypha, it's going to be hard to get any information from 2nd Esdras unless you pull this up on Google as you follow along. Daniel spoke and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. Now, I'm going to pause as I go throughout this because I want you to understand, because as I make notations, as I say things along, you're going to see later that the scripture literally explains and says, yeah, what is right here, this is this. So what I'm going to go ahead and say is these four great beasts are four kingdoms that will come up on the earth. All right, now for some of the Seventh-day Adventists that have come over to the way, this won't be a new thing to you, but just follow along. Please be patient with me. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. Now, for those that studied scripture know that this is the first beast. This is Babylon, okay? This is Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom. This is the Babylonian kingdom. Then and beheld another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this, now pause, that right there is the Medo-Persian Empire, okay? This is the empire that comes after Babylon, right? And as you look, Cyrus, king of Persia, and all these other things we see later with time, that's exactly how that plays out. All right, but moving forward, and I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. All right, now this one right here, this is Alexander the Great's kingdom. This is the Grecian kingdom, and anybody that knows that when Alexander died, his 4 generals divided up the Grecian Empire. So if there's a movie, Alexander, I think is the name of it, or it's Alexander the Great. Very profane movie, but the thing about it is it's pretty historical as to how they break it down, because even in the end, when he perishes, these 4 generals go to divide up the kingdom. So, it's very, very on point. I will give them that, but like I said, it's very profane. Following that, says here, and, sorry guys, and beheld, after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and broke in pieces, and stamped the remnant with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the 10 horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. All right, like great blasphemies, great things, right? Now, I want to pause here and say also, I apologize when I shared the note the other day about where that we're going to be talking about this, that apparently the news article where the Pope apparently said something that was inaccurate. But nevertheless, the Roman Catholic Church has already attempted to change the commandments, and not only that, at that point in time, so it was like partly inaccurate. But my point in case was that I was just trying to share a picture there that we're going to be obviously talking about the popes, the 8 kings of Revelation. That was the point in case. Some people just got all in their feels because the news article was inaccurate. Folks, there's a ton of inaccurate news out there today. Think for yourself. Just research stuff out to see if it's be so. I apologize about that in advance. But nevertheless, and my point in case was just to try to get a picture up there of what we were going to be talking about today. Anyway, moving on. The thing is here we're looking at is that these 10, these 10 horns, right? That's 10 kingdoms that the Roman Church had dominion over. All right, and you'll see this later on. Like I said, we're going to get in 2nd Esdras, then we're going to get in Revelation. You'll just see it all compile. But the Ostrogoths, the Visigoths, and the Vandals, I believe, were the 3 empires that the Roman Church uprooted and destroyed. Now, the Roman Catholic Church came up in the midst of all this, and, you see the kings of the earth tremble in fear at the Roman Catholic Church, because they were like, oh, well, you'll be cut off, you'll be excommunicated from heaven. And so these literal kings were in fear of this empire, right? And not only that, here you have this mouth speaking great things. I mean, we look at the Roman Catholic Church today, they're the only entity that's attempted to change times and laws, and we'll see in Daniel 7:25 in a minute. It goes right there. Somebody said all roads lead to Rome when follow corruption and money. Exactly. Somebody said, oh snap, what have I just entered into? A deep, in-depth study of the last days, folks. So here we go. Moving on, verse 9. And I beheld till thrones were cast down, and the ancients of days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued, came forth from before him, and 1,000 thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the Sepharim were open. The books were open. And just FYI, for anybody that says the book of Enoch, isn't accurate, that literal came right there from the book of Enoch. That right there, what Daniel just said, you can see a reference to that over in the book of Enoch as well. So anyway, and I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spoke. So here's more. It just keeps going. And I beheld till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. And I fully expect to see Rome burn one day very soon, folks. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a period of time. Their kingdom was for a period of time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. And just FYI, I just have to take these notes out there whenever I get to them. Is that for all these Hebrew Israelites that feel as that they're so special that no other nation shall enter into the kingdom, I would like to notate that also, just as Second Baruch notates and Revelation notates, that right here, that obviously Mashiach is not just going to rule over Israel, but all people, nations, and languages. And that's the darndest thing, because I think I read in Isaiah 66 where it says all flesh will come worship before the Most High Yah on his Sabbaths and new moons in the new kingdom. So I'm just saying, guys, blood just because you're born a Hebrew Israelite doesn't just get you in the door. If you don't keep the commands and have faith in Mashiach, you ain't gonna make it no matter who you are. Just a courtesy note there to everybody. All right, but for those that are puffed up, I think it's important that you really read the context of everything. All right, so moving on, verse 15. I, Daniel, was grieved in my ruach, in his spirit, in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. And I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings which shall rise out of the earth, right? These are four kings, and that's four kingdoms of theirs. And I just broke that down for you, what those four kings were. Which shall rise out of the earth. But the holy ones of El Elyon shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured and broke in pieces, and stamped the remnant with his feet. All right? And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom there 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth, and spoke very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. Keep in mind, remember that the other nations feared him, right? That I beheld, and the same horn made war with the holy ones and prevailed against them. Now that's interesting, because the last time I checked, the only ones that really made war against the saints of the Most High was the Roman Catholic Church, and has done so since the Dark Ages, and has murdered those that love and serve Yah. Yeah, guys, I'm glad we're in Revelation 2. We're going to just stay with me. We're going to come into this deep today. And so right here, this just goes to show you that this is another precursor marker for the Roman Catholic Church. And guys, I got a bazillion today. Matter of fact, I don't really have a bazillion, but I have a ton of them today. And if you want to check in the link video description below, it's uploaded already. You can check where I've already done a presentation about the Roman Catholic Church and about the man of sin, pinpoint markers galore. At the Restoring the Foundations conference when I spoke. That presentation's below right there where you can see from the conference. But moving forward. All right. And until the Ancient of Days came and judgment was given to the holy ones of El Elyon, and the time came that the holy ones possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth. The Roman Empire was the greatest empire that there was, not to mention that it's an extension of it today in the Roman Catholic Church, which also rules the kings of the earth, which Revelation will go on to talk about. And says here, from all the kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break in pieces. And the 10 horns out of the kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and shall subdue 3 kings. That's exactly what happened. Was these nations were, then the Roman Catholic Church, the papal Rome, came out of pagan Rome, and then they destroyed these 3 kingdoms, and then the papal Roman Church had rule over the rest of the nations for that time. And he shall speak great words against El Elyon, and shall wear out the holy ones of El Elyon, and think to change times and laws. Pause. There is only one entity out there today that has attempted to change his commands and his set appointed festivals. If you look in the New Living Translation today, bar none, that one plainly says the appointed festivals. You cannot make this stuff up, folks. All right, now, you can argue with me. You might be a Catholic on here today, like, I can't believe you're bashing the Catholic Church. There is no institution in the world, bar none, that has attempted to change the Father's appointed times and his commandments. That's facts. You can eat that. It doesn't change, all right? It's not up for debate. It's an actual factual statement that nobody can deny. Well, I mean, you can deny it, but it ain't going to change the fact that it's fact. All right. And he shall speak words against El Elyon, and shall wear out the holy ones of El Elyon. That right there is another thing the Roman Catholic Church just backing up. Look up the Spanish Inquisition, the Great Inquisition, right? The Roman Catholic Church murdered multitudes, ladies and gentlemen, multitudes for not doing what they wanted them to do. And think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a period of times and a dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom uh, under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the holy ones of El Elyon, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much trouble me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. All right, now I want to pause for a second. I'm going to go back and read a couple of these comments that everybody's made. But some points that I want to make there is it's very important to understand is that you will see in church today that a lot of pastors will not touch on Revelation because it's hard to understand or blah, blah, blah. But yet it's a book written for our time. Not only this, the other thing that is so important to take away is that as we go down the laundry list of like all these entities in the world, we're like, okay, well, so-and-so done this, but so-and-so did this. But the Roman Catholic Church is the only one that has the command of the calendar today, right? All the world wonders after that beast on our calendar today. Everybody listening to the sound of my voice right now, I bet very few keep the lunisolar scriptural biblical calendar. Many go to church on SAT day. Many go to church on SUN day. Yins look bad at each other. Yins talk down to each other. But yet both of yins use the same Roman pagan papal calendar. But look down on me for keeping the lunisolar scriptural biblical calendar and looking like I'm a fool. Yet today I'm keeping the feast day because of looking at the clock in the sky. But yet I can still find Sabbath using the same clock. But yet people will go to church on SAT day, and then they'll use the Father's lunisolar scriptural clock in the sky to keep the feast days. And the last time I checked in Leviticus 23, it didn't say, do this by this calendar, but count the rest by this calendar. I did not get that memo. All right, so I don't know what's going on there with people, but when you look at that at Daniel 7 and 25, that should be a red flag of all flags that says to me, okay, what entity in the world has ever attempted to change the Father's commandments? Oh, well, that's the Roman Catholic Church. Their commandments are different to that in the Scripture. And then, who has changed the appointed times? Oh, man, let me think. Oh, that's right. The Roman Catholic papal calendar is the one we use today. Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, there you go. There's the two markers. Bullseye. You got a winner, right? All right. So that's the wake-up call right there, folks. Now, a lot of people's heard Daniel chapter 7 talked about in church, and the pastor may gave certain expose on it. He may give an accurate expose like I just gave. Especially Seventh-day Adventist Church. If you said the Seventh-day Adventist Church, you should have heard for the most part about line up on line what I said right there. Now, the big kicker is a lot of people will have enough knowledge base to take Daniel 7 and compare it with Revelation and have a winner for the Roman Catholic Church being the great whore of Babylon, the man of sin. And everybody's like, I'm looking for Antichrist. I'm looking for Antichrist. I'm like, John talks about the many Antichrists that went out in the world. We're looking for the man of sin. I've got to do a video about that it's like the man of sin or the Antichrist. What are we looking for? Well, there's many Antichrists in this world today. We are looking for the man of sin, the man that will sit at, 2 Thessalonians, it will sit in the temple of Yah as it's showing himself as he is Yah, exalting himself above. I can't remember exactly how the verse reads, but anyway, this man of sin, this is who we're looking for, all right? And Daniel 7:25 already starts it off. Now, guys, I don't like to take stuff out of context. I really like to just read a chapter out. I think it's so important whenever we're going over things to just read that full through. Now, if you want to read the all of chapter 12, that's fine. There's a segmentation of the chapter that is so paramount, and I'll just start at the first of the chapter and read through to that, and then, like I said, if you want to take the rest and go from there, but then that's how I prefer to roll. But real quick, before I go into that, I want to pause here for a second, go back and look at some of the comments here so that we stay current on the comments. Let's see what we got here. Somebody said, glad we're on Revelation. Absolutely, we're going to wear it out today. Let's see. the things that the Roman Catholic Church did to Christians are pure nightmare. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. America is the mystery Babylon, and the Catholic Church is the great whore Babylon. Well, guys, now I would disagree just slightly, and here's why. It's because if you look at America, we're the second beast of Revelation. And if judgment is not poured out on this country and on the Roman Catholic Church more than anywhere else in the world, I'll be sorely disappointed. Because, and we can get in the two beasts of Revelation later. Today, I want to stay on point of these kings because there's a lot to cover, and we're already 20 minutes deep. Somebody said, yeah, the Catholic Church has killed mass amounts of people. They funded Stalin, Hitler, Mayo, Mussolini. That's a very good point. It's a very good point. Um, the kingdom is almost here. The great sign of Revelation taking place 3 years ago. People still talk about that. Yeah. Yeah, I've been following the Ethiopian calendar for doing research, but I have to use their calendar to talk with the public. So cool talking about this. I did a stream a while back last week about corruptions of the Catholic Church, how Catholic Church hymns in Latin to worship Lucifer. Yeah. Um, let's see here. It's like people don't realize how these corruptions have carried through society up through today. The snare is alive and well, convincing the light they are dark and portraying the darkness as light. That is very, very on point, guys. Very on point. Now, the next thing I want to read from, like I said, is from the book of Second Esdras. Now, if you don't have Ed Sefer, they do have a digital version of it now. The Apocrypha, you can get a copy of with Second Esdras in it. I'm just trying to think, guys. Hallelujah Scripture, I believe, has Second Esdras in it. Matter of fact, Hallelujah Scriptures reached out to me recently to share with you guys that if people don't have a Bible, to please get their info, get it over to them. They're trying to get as many out to people because they know time's running out too. And I need to get with them about that so I can get you some info so that if anybody's out there don't have a Hallelujah Scripture Bible, we can jump on that. I'm trying to think. That's a good point somebody made about right there. Their own prophecies of going for about the Catholic Church, Petrus Romanus, the last pope. But anyway, all right. So let's get back to this. I'm gonna stay on point. Second Esdras chapter 12 reads as so: And it came to pass while the lion spoke these words unto the eagle. Now this is talking, like I said, I really encourage just reading like from chapter. I encourage reading from first of the second book of Esdras all the way through, right? But let me just read from this point forward, okay? This is what's going on. It came to pass while the lion spoke these words unto the eagle, I saw, and behold, the head that remained, and the four wings appeared no more. And the two went unto it and said to themselves, set themselves up to reign, and their kingdom was small and full of uproar. And I saw, and behold, there appeared no more, and the whole body of the eagle was burnt, so that the earth was in great fear. Then awakened I out of the trouble and trance of my mind, and from great fear, and said to my ruach, to my spirit, Lo, this have you done unto me, in that you search out the ways of El Elyon. Lo, yet I am weary in my mind and very weak in my ruach, my spirit, and little strength is there in me. For the great fear wherewith I was afflicted in this night. Therefore will I now beseech El Elyon that he will comfort me unto the end. And I said, Yahuwah Adonai, if I have found grace before your sight, and if I am justified with you before many others, and if my prayer indeed come up before your face, comfort me then and show me your servant the interpretation. All right, y'all ready for this? Plain difference of this fearful vision, that you may perfectly comfort my soul. For you have judged me worthy to show me the last times. If you can't see the sign up there, time is almost up, is what it says on the sign box. I've got the light system here today, probably blocking it. And he said unto me, this is the interpretation of the vision. All right, everybody pay attention. The eagle which you saw came up from the sea. Now we know later in Revelation that sea is like multitudes, nations, tongues, people. So it came up in a very diverse place, right? Just where Europe is, where the Roman Catholic Church is today. Is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of your brother Daniel. So we know for certain that the same entity that Ezra sees here is a different version of the same thing, but it's the same entity, right? But it was not expounded unto him, therefore now I declare it unto you. Let us go back and read that again. This eagle which you saw come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of your brother Daniel. But it was not expounded unto him, therefore now I declare it unto you. So here we're going to get a deeper interpretation of what we already got from Daniel. Now the Most High is pouring out even more information even unto Ezra, which now we can know. All right, now the important thing to understand too is if you look at the standard, which the Roman centurions and all them carried right into battle. What was on the standard? An eagle. All right, and it's so important to understand that the eagle is a symbol of Rome, right? Behold, the days will come that there shall rise up a kingdom upon earth, and it shall be feared above all the kingdoms that were before it. This was so for pagan Rome. This was so for papal Rome, because even after pagan Rome was gone, papal Roman Empire ruled Europe, and it was feared the world over. Wherefore the second, and it says here, in the same time shall 12 kings reign, one after another. Wherefore the second shall begin to reign, and shall have more time than any of the 12. And this do the 12 wings signify which you saw. As for the voice which you heard speak, and that you saw not to go out from the heads, but from the midst of the body, therefore this is the interpretation, that after the time of that kingdom, all right, so I'm fast forward because I want to get us to where we're at right now, right? After that kingdom there shall arise great strivings, and it shall stand in peril of failing. Nevertheless, it shall not then fail, but shall be restored again to his beginning. And pause. This is important to understand, because I believe it's in 1798, General Berthier shut down the Roman Catholic Church. Then, and took the Pope into exile. Then moving forward, 1922, I believe, was the Lateran Treaty, we're going to get into here in a minute, and the 8 kings were on. Then they not only got the Roman Catholic Church back, and got sovereignty, and they got kings. That was when things changed, because they were a sovereign nation after that. All right. So right here, it was standing in peril, but nevertheless, it was restored back, and that's just like it had a wound with a sword, and yet did live, this beast. So here you go, 2 witnesses right here. Y'all following with me? And whereas you saw the 8 small under feathers sticking to her wings, this is the interpretation. Are you paying attention? That in him there shall arise 8 kings. So now we have a time of kings, whose times shall be but small, and their years swift. And 2 of them shall perish, the middle time approaching. 4 shall be kept unto their end begin to approach, but 2 shall be kept unto the end. All right, and whereas you saw 3 heads rest, in this interpretation, in the last days shall El Elyon raise up 3 kingdoms, and renew many things therein, and they shall have dominion of the earth, and of those that dwell therein with much oppression above all those were before them. Therefore are they called the heads of the eagle. Now I wanted to read into that, because now here's where I'm at with that. I think the Ottoman Empire will be renewed, probably the Great Russian Empire, and I don't know as far as the other one, maybe the Islamic. But it's going to be crazy to see that stuff take place. But the thing is, right here, those 8 kings, right? Now, Revelation talks about 8 kings, all right? And the thing you got to understand is that's all there is. After that, it's game over. That's the end of time, right? Now, where I want you to understand is a lot of churches do not cover the book of 2nd Esdras. A lot of churches, matter of fact, it irritates the life out of me for those that are in the way. Some will be like, well, I don't like the book of Enoch. And I'm like, why don't you like the book of Enoch? Well, I keep lunar Sabbath different. I do full moon instead of dawn after conjunction, or like the dark days of the moon, and then I'll start back to work. I don't do that. I do full moon, so I don't approve the book of Enoch. Or people be like, I don't like Jubilees, or I don't like Yasher. And like the book of Yasher proves the Father's Lunisolar scriptural calendar, because it talks about the Battle of Jericho. There was new moon day, the 6 work days, they fought, and the next day was a Sabbath. That's just how it's sorted out. But you can't find that on the Roman calendar, because right now if I asked the SAT day keeper, I'd be like, tell me which day Battle of Jericho was. Still, this is 11 years in, still ain't got an answer from one pastor, deacon, preacher, elder, anybody. Said dead silence to this day, all right? Never been challenged to a debate to this day. There's a reason, folks, because the lunar solar scriptural biblical calendar's facts. All right, so anyway, like I said, people discredit all these books. 2nd Esdras, some people won't touch it. This is important information, because this to me is the linchpin between Daniel and between Revelation. And for those that follow my channel, like every time I post a video, for this past year, I've really been bouncing back and forth between 2 Esdras and between the book of Baruch, 1st and 2nd Baruch, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because it's about the last days, and I just could not put it down. And finally, after I got through this, my spirit was at peace. There was something I needed to find in here, and I believe this was the gem, because it connects Daniel to Revelation. It's 3 witnesses about something so imperative that we cannot pass it up. Real quickly, before I go to Revelation, and then we look at the who these 8 kings are in specific, then I'm going to read these comments and then we'll go from there. Um, let's see here. It's like people don't realize. Sorry. Okay. So does anyone think the blue moon this Halloween could be something? I don't know, folks. Not sure on that. Um, Somebody said talking about Aztec prophecies. In 2012, we entered the Aztec. In the last 20 years. Somebody said, sorry, I've been trying to look in the 14 books Vatican banned from the Bible lately. That's very interesting. Philo also backs up the lunisolar biblical calendar. Yep, absolutely. Guys, I'm telling you, the more you study into it, listen, it's a convenience thing. That's all it comes down to. That's the only reason people roll with the pagan Roman calendar. It's all about convenience. All right, now, Revelation 17. Moving forward, here we go. This is something that a lot of people have read. Now with the fuel of the fire, the fuel to put on the fire, you have Daniel. You have the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 12. We have Daniel 7, 2nd Esdras, chapter 12, Revelation 17. We have this accumulation now. All right, and some of the scripture is going to explain things I've already talked about a minute ago. It's going to break it down crystal clear. So you don't have to be like, well, Luke's just having a private interpretation to himself. No. You're going to get it, thus saith Yahweh, right here from the word. And if you don't want to accept that, that's your business, right? So here we go. Revelation chapter 17. And there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto him, Come hither, I will show unto you the judgment of the great whore that sits upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Now, that's very interesting, okay? Because right here, this whore that sits up on many waters, we know that's many nations, multitudes, and tongues here shortly. It's going to be broke down. So once again, Roman Catholic Church. So he carried me away in the spirit in the wilderness, and I saw a woman, all right? Now, we all know that when we look at the church, that's looked at as a woman. So here we have this false church. She sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. All right. Now we know in a minute that the 7 heads are going to be 7 mountaintops on which the woman sits, and we know the 10 horns. We've already looked at that in comparison to Daniel chapter 7. Being that that's 10 kingdoms, right? Well, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color. Pause. When we see the ark being carried in ancient times, there would be blue, there would be purple and scarlet, but yet we don't see the blue here, which is representation of the Father's law, because it's void from this place, right? And decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. Pause. Roman Catholic Church, most richest institution in the entire world, decked with gold and stones. Her priests, or her bishops and cardinals, what are they arrayed in? Purple and scarlet. Moving forward. Having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations, filthiness of her fornication. Pause. Eucharist. The golden cup, always being offered up by the Roman Catholic Church. You see it in front of a sun disk. Always this stuff going on, guys. And matter of fact, please note, please note that the circle disc is the hidden one. If you always look at, a lot of people think that the Roman Catholic Church worships the sun, but they also, I really believe, do hidden worship to Saturn, because you see this circle disc. A lot of the times, all the way back, you look to the golden calf, all the way back, every time Israel's been in apostasy, they always worshipped Saturn. Stephen got stoned for it. What are the Hebrews worshiping on today? On Saturn day? Nothing is new under the SUN. I mean, come on, people, wake up. And up on her forehead was name written, Mystery Babel the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Pause. If she is a mother, that means that she has harlot daughters. Well, who are that? That's the fallen churches of this world today. You may be sitting in the pew of one of them. You need to get up out of there, because they're not teaching the Father's way. All right. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the holy ones. Pause. Who killed all the tons of holy people in the times past? Roman Catholic Church. Murdered multitudes. And with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said to me, Wherefore do you marvel? Did you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman. So you all pay attention. This is not Luke explaining it now. This angel's about to back up what I just dropped truth on you a minute ago. And of the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns, the beast that you saw was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the Sefer of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Think about that, folks. Now, I read that very carefully. Whose names were not written in the Sefer of life from the foundation of the world. Let me break that down for you. I'm a builder. So if I get a 2x4 or a piece of conduit, say the conduit's 10 foot long, I know from the minute I buy that conduit before I get the job site, I'm going to cut 2 foot of that off before I mount it on the wall. There is a situation here where that if you read that carefully, that tells me that there was multitudes of people that way back when, before they were even created, were going to make the decision one day to not serve the Most High and follow this beast power. Now that's deep, folks. If you look at Revelation chapter 13 in comparison to Revelation 17, the mark of the beast, the man of sin, who all's pushing this is deep, all right? But moving forward, and here is the mind which has wisdom. Do you have wisdom today? Here we go. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. All right, there you go. I told you that earlier. Well, the Roman Catholic Church sits up on 7 hills, the city of 7 hills. Rome, right? The great whore Babylon, right? Moving forward. And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goes into perdition. And the 10, okay, let me pause, all right, because we're about to get into these kings. Now, that's very important to understand, because here's these 8 kings again, right? Now, at the point in history we're at right now, Pope Benedict is still alive, and Pope Francis is still alive. Now, Pope Benedict, currently looking at age tag, I believe he's 93 years of age, if I've got my notes correct here. Pope Francis is 83 years of age. Please note also that in your notes today, that between now and the year 2030, the 2030 agenda, this is plenty enough time for AI to become fully autonomous, just like my friend Ronald Dalton shared at the conference that we put on. And not only the full autonomy of AI, but the mark of the beast system can be fully implemented. Please keep in mind that the forehead's always a mental agreement, the hands physical and mental agreement with giving in by works. Another thing to understand is vicarious filideia equals 666. The global model, the heliocentrical model, that's 666, that come from the Vatican Church, that was endorsed. We have the world that we live in. It has its mark by what they say, the calendar, their name, everything. You just see 666 trace all the way back to the Roman Catholic Church, which is another thing I've not even gotten into. That's over in Revelation 13. We can cover that, but we're just trying to get these kings out, because I'm 38 minutes in, and the next 20 minutes we're going to go deep in these kings, all right, because I'm almost finished up. But here we go. It says he must continue a short space, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goes into perdition. Notating that their age is so far advanced. We're in a short time span, folks. We're talking within a decade time frame. If we can, at this point, we've identified that the Roman Catholic Church, the man of sin that sits at her head, and the 8 kings that she's produced since 1922, then we know we're at the end of the road. Not only this, the Roman Catholic Church prophecy talks about, I believe it is Petrus Romanus, and you look at that's supposed to be the last king of their own church, right? So anyway, and the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength of the beast. I want to pause there and note that although these 10 horns which you see right here are 10 kings, I don't think they're the same previous 10 kings of the past. Now that's opinion. Please notate that is opinion. I think this is another set of 10 kings, and if another thing to look at is the world. They're wanting to divide it into 10 regions, 10 powers or whatever. I think this is possibly something more to come. Also, anyway, and they have one mind and shall give their power and strength to the beast. And these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. Free is Adonai Ha'adamim. I messed that up, guys. I'm sorry. He is Lord of Lords, King of Kings, Melech Melachim. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he said unto me, the waters which you saw, Where the whore sits are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Now, did Luke lie to you? No, I didn't. I told you earlier when we were in Daniel 7, that's what that was. And the 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Henceforth, why I say also they're going to burn Rome one day. For Yahuwah has put it in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom into the beast, and to the words of Yahuwah shall be fulfilled. And the woman which you saw is the great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. Now there you go, folks. That right there is the 3 hammers to be dropped today. Now give me just a second. I'm going to back up here and just read a couple comments, and then we're going to go right into the 8 kings. And I should be at an hour marker. And then, guys, if you want to chop it up on here, I'll be glad to stay in the comments for a little while. And then I'm going to probably go study the Word and rest the rest of the day on this Sabbath. Let's see where we're at here. And this feast begun in the 15th day of the month, in the middle of the month, on the day on which the moon is full of light. Oh, that's a great reference, Herencia de Yahuwah. See, right there you go. That quote from Philo, that goes to show you right there that the moon is full of light. See, that also reinforces what the book of Hanok points out. That also goes to show, I found some writings from Pontius Pilate recently where that talked about the moon turned to blood when everything went down at the crucifixion on the stake. So I'm telling you, there's a lot to it, folks. The full moon doctrine, I have to check out on it. I mean, no disrespect to my brothers and sisters that are trying to keep the lunar Sabbath, but the whole full moon thing, I just can't get there with you. I don't understand it. There's too many references. Somebody said the lunar solar calendars are easy, right? Somebody said, Shalom, brother. Thank you for sharing during this time. Absolutely, Lauren. Let's see. Somebody said it makes sense to use the lunar solar calendar anyway, considering the transition from Gregorian to Julian. Absolutely. If you go back of this, right, the stick calendar before the Julian, SAT day used to be the first day of the week. Then they moved it to SUN, or the end of the week. SUN day got prominence for sun worship, so they got the head of the week. Then before that, it was a lunisolar 8-day Roman pagan calendar that had days lettered A through H. Guys, I'm telling you, the lunisolar scriptural calendar is on the way to go. If your pastor tells you to keep SAT day, you need to do some serious gut check on if you need to be there anymore, if they're not willing to look into the Father's calendar, because I've just had enough of the Roman calendar. It's nothing against anybody. It's an issue with the calendar. If we love y'all, we'll keep his appointed times, and that means all his appointed times on his calendar. Let's see. 7 heads, 7 heels. Yeah. The whore's the church itself. Yeah. G10 nations. That may be why the G10 summit. Yeah, there you go. Herencia de Yahuwah, it says it's from Special Laws 2, Works of Follow. I will have to look that up. If you could email me that at the number 7, the literal number 7, and then trumpetsprepper@gmail.com, I would truly and gratefully appreciate that so much for that, because I try to compile all these references I can, folks. Yeah, somebody said Babylon is a system. It's not just pertaining to America's guys. Yeah, absolutely. If you look, being we know right here, I'm going to say this, and then we're going to go in these kings. If you know that based on what I just read you in Scripture, that multitudes, nations, and tongues mean waters, then this beast, that second beast of Revelation that arose up out of the earth, that had 2 horns, that spoke, looked like a lamb, spoke like a dragon, right? Then we know that could mean church and state. It could mean maybe 2 political parties in America. I don't know. I'm leaning more church and state, just like that Seventh-day Adventist Church did. But if you look at that, it came up in a sparsely populated place. That's got to be America. Okay, the second beast of Revelation. All right. So very important, because America has been instrumental in carrying out the works of the Roman Catholic Church too, and forwarding her agenda more than any nation that I know of. All right. So with that said, all right, when this church had this wound, right, and received power, right? Well, 1922 is so important to understand because of the Lateran Treaty. You have Pius the 11th from 1922 to 1939. You have 1939 to 1958, Pius the 12th. That's the second king. 1958 to 1963, you have John the 13th. That's the third king. 1963 to 1978, you have Paul the 6th. That's the fourth king. Yeah, 1978, you have John Paul I, that's the 5th king, and interestingly, he died in 33 days. I wonder if he was a satanic offering within the church itself, because 33 is very important to the occult. Um, I don't know, for what that's worth. And then 1978, 2005, you have John Paul II, which was the sixth. The one is, and very interestingly enough, that whenever Benedict was in office and went to step down, they were doing some kind of ritual or something in front of John Paul II. I thought the guy was literally, I thought they were going to do some kind of necromancy thing where that they have him back to life, and obviously it wouldn't be him; it would be a demonically possessed John Paul II. But that didn't take place. We had Pope Francis the eighth, which is 2013 to current. Of course, Pope Benedict was the seventh, which is 2005 to current. Now, we've never had the thing where that there's two popes around at the same time. That's very important to understand. So when we compare both of this situation where that you have Benedict and Francis alive, we have these two kings that are at the end, and of course we have the one that is. All right, guys, this is end game stuff. Okay, and like I said, if you look at the reference information that I gave here, Pope Benedict is 93 years of age. Okay, he was born 1927, and the other information here for Pope Francis, he's 83 years of age and was born in 1936. All right, so I mean, these guys are old. They're old, and even doing necromancy, doing what is the word here? Adrenochrome, doing all this stuff to stay alive. Even the wicked can only stay alive so long. So this we're looking at in a window here. We're looking at in like a decade's time of the end of all things, the end of this age. If this is everything I've shared with you is pinpoint on accurate, then we have a serious situation on our hands here. Is because these 8 kings of Revelation, it doesn't say there's a 9th and 10th one. It says there are 8. So I have a clear, definitive marker right here in front of me that this great whore Babylon, that has a man of sin at her head, that is eight kings deep, doesn't go to the 9th king. So that means that we are at the end of all things. Savvy? So I don't know what more I can say or do to sell you on this particular topic. But if you have not looked into this, if you've not looked into the fact that here's these 8 kings, right? There's 8 kings that have been before us, and we're on the 8th king. And even the own Roman Catholic Church is, I believe it is the prophecy of Petrus Romanus that says it will be the last pope, and he will oversee the destruction of the Roman Church. I believe that is the reference given in the prophecy of the popes. And I can't remember who it was that gave it. It was, anyway, he wrote down a whole long successive list and symbology for those popes. And anyway, Pope Francis, I reckon they hit his right on the head too, and Benedict and John Paul, all those references were given were just exactly who ended up going in office. Now, somebody asked an important question here, said, how did you know which pope to start with, brother? That is an excellent question, is because you got to understand that the Lateran Treaty, when it was signed, and you just need to Google this and look this up, the Lateran Treaty, is at that point in time, they were no longer a head of a church. They were the head of a state, a nation state. That makes them a sovereign and a king, because the papacy is the smallest nation state in the world, yet it rules over the kings of the earth. And when we look at that, somebody said, I'll send links later on popes. I remember seeing what you mentioned also. Yeah, and so here's the thing. If you look under the Lateran Treaty, when it was signed, and we count forward from 1922 to now, we have 8 kings. And that's how I arrive at that, because they're not sovereigns beforehand. They were just popes. And even though they ruled over the kings of the earth and spoke great blasphemies and spoke great words, and the kings of the earth feared them, they were not a king and sovereign themselves until 1922. And then from that point forward, we count kings. And I hope that answers that question, because that is a very important definitive marker. And another thing that's so important to take away from that is that the church that had this entity that had a deadly wound, has now been revived, because we seen there, where was it? It was in
oh, it was in Second Esdras chapter 12 where you see that it was stood in peril of failing, right, or to something to that effect, right? Well, but yet it was renewed and restored, and that's exactly just like. Actually, let's look at it real quickly. It's in Revelation 13. I think that would actually I should actually wrote that down because that actually does have a little bit of reference to what we're talking about right here. Um, there was given to him a mouth speaking great things, blasphemy and power was given to him to continue 42 months. Where was it at here? Moving on up. All right, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly one was healed, and the world wondered after the beast, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and worshipped the beast, saying, "Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" And of course, and there was given to him mouth speaking things, great blasphemies, and power was given to him. And people don't understand that it's very important right here, is because it says that he had power to give life in the image of the beast, and the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And here is wisdom: let him that has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So, like I said, Vicarious Filii Dei, the title of the Man of Sin. The globe model 666 came endorsed from the Roman Catholic Church. Bear with me, folks. The new vaccine thing coming out, I believe it's 666 on the vaccine number. And something I want you to understand is where that the servants of Yah are only sealed in the forehead, right? Today we're trying to be sealed by the Father. We're trying to be forgiven of our wickedness. Um, is that it's important to understand that the servants of Yah are only sealed in their forehead, right? But the people that take the mark of the beast can either take it in the hand or in the forehead. And so, the thing that you got to take from that is that means that there's two venues to fail. You can mentally agree with it, or you can just go along to get along, right? Like take these marks, take these vaccines, take all this garbage drama, right? It seems like there's obviously two venues to get there. And if we look back, I believe it's in the Ezekiel where he's seen that the slaughtering messenger went through. Right before that, the rider with the inkhorn went through and marked those on the forehead that sighed and cried for the abominations in Israel. So they were sealed, right? They were marked, but they were sealed to be safe and protected. And the past is always a vision of the future, right? So you look at how that situation played out. That's important to understand how that's going. And yet the forehead mark reminds me of temperature guns in use now. Yeah, the thing is, guys, I think all this is conditioning right now. This is conditioning for something far more heinous, because it's I think it's not only conditioning, but it also keeps you off track, because the thing that's going to go um, down, it's going to be just completely heinous. And guys, if y'all are still in the building right now, can y'all just drop a like on this video to help get it further shared on YouTube? Because people need to hear this message. I'm serious. Like if you're on social media, go over there on Facebook or wherever, share this video. If you are watching right now, hit the like button. Thank you, guys. I see the likes are starting to go up. Please, share this with other people, because people need to see this. Um, all right, let's see what we got here. Let's see. Somebody said Happy Day of Atonement. Absolutely, Happy Day of Atonement to everyone out there. Um, yeah, well, guys, that pretty much concludes now all the information that I wanted to share on it. I am going to try to keep this video at about like an hour and 10 minutes at the most. That way people will be, willing to watch it, because I know a lot of people just don't want to watch long presentations. But as far as just open forum on this, if people have comments, thoughts, opinions on it, please by all means share it. You may have something more to add to what I've just shared. I'd be glad to share it with everybody else. Yeah, absolutely, guys. I'm thrilled to share this with you. It's been something I've been studying on for a while. And not to mention that, I believe in giving credit where credit's due. One of the first places that, this stuff was pointed out to me was in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. World's Last Chance has covered stuff like this over the years, but I haven't really seen the correlation tie-in between the two Esdras. And, two Esdras, to me, personally, the more I view this, the more I research this, definitely has a um, a lot to add to the value of this. If you get time later, create timestamps in the video so when people watch they can skip parts of it. I wish I knew how to do some of this stuff, guys. The daily mock. I don't know. I really don't know how to. Actually, is that you, Stephen? I think that's you, Stephen. Daily mock. Anyway, I don't. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, brother. I'll. I think I seen where you in the email box the other day. I've got to hit you back. Here's the thing, guys. Pray for me because YouTube has just been slapping me with copyright claims and all sorts of stuff. And here's the thing. I paid for the what is the usage certificate thing or whatever, I guess, for some music that's in the video. It's just been stupid stuff lately I've had to deal with, and it's hundreds and hundreds of emails, and a bunch of y'all's emails are just buried in my email box, and I'm trying to get it caught up, and I work out in the field all the time, so somebody said, oh, YouTube is not allowed to silence us anymore. If they do, you are allowed to sue them now. Wow, I'd love to see some info on that, because it's getting bad out here, folks. I mean, like, if you think that Seven Trumpets Prep is going to be on this YouTube channel with you all through the end days, I will be sorely shocked to see that happen, because I do not foresee, content like that I produce being allowed when it all really does finally start hitting the fan, because there's just too much knowledge, too much important information that people need to hear for them to allow that to be out there. To me, that's just inconceivable, to think that they would even allow these conversations to be talked about. Because I mean, very soon, you know, you're going. It won't shock me at all to see, the man of sin set up over the sovereigns of the earth at all. It won't surprise me at all. And please keep in mind that I've said this at the conference. I've said this I don't know how many times lately, even before the conference. I think, I don't know how many videos I've said this in so far, and I'm going to continue to make it a point of it, even if people mock me and laugh at me. Is that it's a three-step process to the New World Order. It was 9/11, COVID, alien invasion, and I'm telling you, when you see the whole alien invasion thing and the man of sin step forward at the Vatican, won't surprise me the least bit. Something important to take away from that is, that, what was it? I think it was Benedict. It was either Pope Francis or Pope Benedict said they would baptize an alien. Okay. And another thing to take away from that is Aleister Crowley, which was the most satanic sadist I ever have heard of and know of, said that the only time he ever seen a demon materialize where that he could see it, that it looked like an alien. The description he gave of the one time that he did see a demon, when he seen it, it looked just like what we would consider an alien today. So, guys, I mean, this is important information to digest. This is very important information to put on the mind and heart, because I mean, when we see this stuff, like, I'll leave this thought with you, and read a couple more comments here and call this a wrap today. But something to really consider upon is that in Jersey, I think it was in New Jersey quite some time back. This week before, this past week or the week before this one, that they seen the Goodyear blimp, I think it was, and it had the glow sign on the side of it, the light up sign. People freaked out, thought it was an alien UFO ship or whatever. And people are so excited. They want to receive this. They are looking for it. They are expecting it. They are hoping for it. And I'm telling you, folks, what they're going to get, they ain't going to be excited when they get it. Man, it's crazy. Oh, man. It's some deep stuff, guys. I'll tell you. Yeah, deep stuff. But, guys, I've enjoyed this today. I've enjoyed the commentary. I hope that everyone that watched this, I hope this is something that will help give you peace of mind and a clear understanding of just how close we are to the very end of all things as we know it, because we're on the eighth king. And I'm not saying live in fear of your life every day. I'm just saying that it's good to have a clear picture of what we're facing, because I know uncertainty to me is the most frustrating thing of all. because if you don't have a clear discernment of what you're facing, then to me, it's just anxiety. If I don't know what I'm dealing with. Now, if I know what I'm dealing with, take me to the fight, but I think that that's the issue a lot of people face as well, in this walk. And so anyway, guys, until we see you again here at the Seven Trumpets Prepper channel, somebody said, I gotta rewatch because it sounds like it's just. Yeah, hey, go back and watch at the very beginning because there's a ton of important content in here today, guys. Absolutely. But that's wonderful, guys. I'm glad this has been a help to a lot of you today. And as always, till we see you again here at Seven Trumpets Prepper channel, hope the Most High Yah Baruch you and keep you, make His face shine upon you, show you favor, and give you shalom, my friends. In Yahushua name.